Have you ever opened your closet, looked at 100 different options, and felt tired? Or maybe you are that person who doesn't look. You reach for the same black t-shirt, the same gray hoodie, the same jeans you wore yesterday, and the day before that. Society looks at this habit and makes judgments. They ask, are they lazy? Did they not do laundry? Have they given up? But if you look at the most effective people in history, Albert Einstein, Barack Obama, Steve Jobs with his famous black turtleneck, you realize something fascinating. They didn't dress this way because they didn't care. They dressed this way because they cared too much about things that actually mattered. Psychology says that wearing the same outfit every day isn't just a fashion choice. It is a radical act of cognitive defense. It reveals how your brain processes information, how you handle stress, and how you view your own identity. But, and this is a big but, there is a fine line between optimization and neglect. For some, this habit is a superpower. For others, it is a silent scream that something is wrong. Today, we are decoding the psychology of the uniform. By the end of this video, you will know if you are optimizing your life or if you are slowly disappearing from it. The first and most common reason your brain gravitates toward a uniform is a concept psychologists call decision fatigue. Imagine your brain is like a battery. You wake up with 100% charge. Every single decision you make, what to eat, which email to answer, and yes, what to wear, drains that battery. Researchers at Cornell University estimated that the average adult makes about 35,000 remotely conscious decisions each day. By the time you get to the big decisions like your career, your relationships, or your creative work, your battery is already at 40% because you wasted energy deciding between the blue shirt or the white shirt. Steve Jobs knew this. He wore the black turtleneck not because he lacked style, but because he refused to waste a single unit of mental energy on something that didn't build Apple. If you wear the same outfit every day, you likely possess a trait called high cognitive prioritization. Your brain naturally filters out the noise of daily life to focus on the signal. You aren't lazy, you are efficient. You are automating the basic maintenance of life so you can spend your mana on the boss battles. But there is a deeper, more emotional reason for this habit. Psychology tells us that in a chaotic world, the human mind craves predictability. For people with high anxiety or high sensitivity to their environment, the world feels loud. Traffic is unpredictable. Social interactions are messy. The news is terrifying. Wearing the same clothes acts as a psychological anchor. It is a variable you can control, 100%. It's known as a self-soothing mechanism. By keeping your physical appearance constant, you create a sense of internal order. It's armor. When you put on that familiar hoodie, your nervous system relaxes. It says, okay, I know this feeling. I am safe here. If this is you, you aren't boring. You are using your clothing as a tool to regulate your nervous system so you can function in a chaotic world. Finally, there is the trait of low self-monitoring. High self-monitors are obsessed with how they appear to others. They change their style to fit the trend, the group, or the season. They are shapeshifters. But if you wear the same thing every day, you likely have high identity consistency. You know who you are. You don't need your clothes to introduce you, because your character does the talking. You have detached your self-worth from your appearance. In a consumerist society that tells you buying new things makes you a new person, refusing to change your look is actually an act of rebellion. It says, I am enough just as I am. However, this is where we have to stop the applause, because sometimes a uniform isn't a sign of a genius focusing on their work. Sometimes it is a sign of a mind that is shutting down. How do you tell the difference between Steve Jobs and someone who is spiraling into depression? The psychology gets darker here. Here is the uncomfortable truth. Not everyone is Steve Jobs. For many, wearing the same clothes isn't an optimization strategy. It's a symptom of executive dysfunction. When the brain is overwhelmed by stress, trauma, or depression, the frontal lobe, the part responsible for planning and organizing, starts to misfire. Simple tasks, like matching colors or doing laundry, stop feeling like tasks and start feeling like mountains. You wear the same outfit not because you are saving energy for your genius invention, but because you literally do not have the energy to care about yourself. This is often a sign of anhedonia, the inability to feel pleasure or interest in things. You stop seeing yourself as a person worthy of decoration or care. You become a background character in your own movie. You aren't prioritizing efficiency. You are prioritizing invisibility. If you find yourself wearing dirty clothes, or clothes that don't fit, simply because it doesn't matter, that is not a life hack. That is a cry for help from your nervous system. There is also a danger called cognitive rigidity. While routine is good, the brain needs novelty to stay young. Neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to rewire itself, relies on new experiences. If you refuse to change your outfit because the idea of wearing something different makes you anxious, you aren't disciplined. You are stuck. You are training your brain to fear change. If you can't handle a new shirt, how will you handle a new job? A new relationship? A life crisis? By locking down your external world, you might be accidentally locking down your internal growth. You are building a cage and calling it a closet. So, how do you know the difference? How do you know if you are optimizing like a CEO or spiraling into a rut? You have to take the joy test. Ask yourself one question. Do I wear this because I feel powerful in it? Or because it is the path of least resistance? Well, if the answer is least resistance, you need to interrupt the pattern before it becomes permanent. But you don't need a makeover montage. That's overwhelming. Instead, use a psychological concept called enclothed cognition. Studies show that the clothes we wear actually change our brainwaves and hormone levels. If you dress like a tired, invisible person, your brain produces tired, invisible chemicals. Here is the actionable fix. It's the 10% rule. Tomorrow, wear your uniform, but change one thing by 10%. Wear the same jeans, but put on a shirt with a different texture. Wear the same hoodie, but put on a watch or a different pair of socks. This sounds small, but it signals to your brain, I am capable of change. I am in control of my appearance, not the other way around. If you want to wear a black turtleneck every day to build the next Apple, do it. But make sure you are doing it with intention, not apathy. Steve Jobs didn't wear the uniform to hide. He wore it to focus. Your life is too valuable to be lived on autopilot. Don't let your efficiency become your prison. If you realize during this video that you've been hiding, maybe tomorrow is the day you put on a different color, not for society, but to remind yourself that you are still here and you are still evolving. If you found value in this video, hit that like button. It really helps the channel. And if you want to dive deeper into psychology, click this video on the screen right now. It's the perfect next step. I'll see you there.